Was that why he was so accepting when they told him? They both desired something more? Frisk and Sans hadn't really spoken about such things, about the possible futures. The two drained the teapot and ate most of the cookies, having interesting mother and daughter discussions. Toriel joking once or twice that she would bring down her wrath if Sans was a lazy father. Toriel was glad when they had settled that Frisk and Sans had chosen a larger home than they had needed at the time. Possibly a mother's intuition? After helping Frisk with the dishes, Toriel departed. The rain had not let up. She opened the umbrella with a sigh. "Hey, Your Majesty." Toriel turned to see Sans coming up the path. Her face hardened slightly. "While I do not doubt you will be good to my daughter and your children, know that I will be watching you, Sans." Off she went, saying nothing more. If he had blood, it would certainly have ran cold. His mother-in-law could always incite fear in him. Frisk had returned to their book and their comfortable nest in the window seat, looking up only when they heard the door open and close. "Sweetheart?" Frisk heard him call out, as well as the sound of his jacket unzipping. He was probably soaked to the bone. "I'm in the living room, Sans," they replied, setting the book on the end table next to them. "How'd it go?" Sans asked. Frisk moved their legs so he could sit beside them. "You first." Frisk leaned against him, looping an arm through his. "Well, Pap seems to be cool," he chuckled nervously. "I'll have to keep him from turning them into child soldiers." Frisk giggled. They couldn't say they were surprised in the slightest. Papyrus was eccentric. Their mind turned to what Toriel had told them. "Sans?" they softly asked, squeezing his arm a little tighter. "Why didn't you tell me? How this worked, I mean." His pupils vanished. He turned his dark sockets away from them. I... Stuttering and hunting frantically for words. "Your ma told you, huh?" More nervous laughter. Frisk nodded. "I suppose..." His mind was racing. "I need to do some soul-searching for the answer to that, sweetheart." "Are you scared?" Even though he wasn't looking, he could feel their ruby eyes burning into his very being. He couldn't lie to them. Heh, very. It was easier to come clean. "Me too." Frisk sighed and stood up, moving to stand in front of Sans. "But it's okay, because it's you." Sans leaned in, his head resting on their chest, skeletal arms wrapping around them, the steady beat of Frisk's heart drumming in his skull. "Thank you, sweetheart." Part 4. 4 weeks felt like nothing. Their lives fell into a routine. Every 2 weeks, Frisk had an appointment with Dr. Pierce. Every 2 weeks, they got to see their children on that same black and white screen. The gender of their other child was revealed to be a male, which was interesting. It was determined that the children shared a placenta but were contained in their own amniotic sacs, thus were identical twins. Dr. Pierce mused how rare it was to have opposite-sex identical twins. Almost unheard of without some sort of mutation. Then again, this pregnancy was unheard of on its own. Frisk would need to be observed on a regular basis. Multiple births were always so much more complicated than single births. 22 weeks. Frisk laid awake. It was nearly 3 in the morning and the unfamiliar discomfort of heartburn plagued them. They had sent Sands out to the 24-hour convenience store 15 minutes away from their house. Frisk needed relief. They had initially wanted milk to calm the acid in their stomach, but foolishly Sands drank it all earlier that day. Hormones getting the better of them, they lashed out. It wasn't even a fight, purely raw hormonal pregnancy anger. It was becoming more frequent, as was the growing discomfort. Feet now swelling when they stood for long periods of time. Their back ached at random times during the day and the heartburn from the depths of hell. Frisk couldn't complain too much, however. Their skin was clearer, eyes brighter, and hair noticeably thicker and shinier. They were beautiful. Rolling onto their side, they patiently waited for their husband's return. The store was desolate. Sands noted the unenthusiastic red-headed cashier sitting on a stool playing a handheld gaming system, ignoring all customers until they came to a register to make their purchases. He didn't blame her. It had to be boring to work overnight. He was here for milk and antacid tablets, whatever those were. Looking around, he spotted a cooler with jugs and cartons of milk of varying sizes. There were so many different types. Which did Frisk want? Skim? 2%? Chocolate? Looking down at his phone, he hesitated, unsure if Frisk was still in a hormonal rage. "Hey, sweetheart, what kind of milk did you want?" 2:55 a.m. Waiting. He wondered if they were even still awake. They hadn't gotten too much sleep that night. "Not sure. Need to think." 2:57 a.m. "Sands, I'm sorry I yelled at you. I don't know why I did it." "It's okay, babe." 2:58 a.m. "You want flavored or normal?" "Normal, please." 2:59 a.m. "Not skim." "All right. See you when I get home." 3 o'clock a.m. It was probably wise to get more than a small carton of milk. Sands opted to get 2 large jugs, setting them in the shopping basket. Unsure about human medicine, he wandered the narrow aisles. Painkillers, bandages, feminine hygiene products. Humans needed a lot of medical supplies. Life was so much easier with magic. Aha! Stomach aids. Frisk had told him what to look for. Chalky white tablets in an oddly shaped bottle. What even was heartburn? He'd have to ask them. A loud rustling sound grabbed his attention. In the corner of the store, a human male was hunched over the ice cream freezer, filling his basket with ice cream and popsicles. Sands watched him with a puzzled expression and a quiet laugh. What the hell? Sensing he was being watched, the man looked at Sands, obvious embarrassment as he slowly stopped shoving the frozen dairy products into his basket. A soft cough. My wife is pregnant. She really needed ice cream." His voice trailed off into silence, realizing how silly it sounded when he said it out loud. Sands gave the man a crooked grin, nodding in acknowledgement. "Hey, pal, mine too." Sands shifted the antacid bottle and the man's face lit up as he nodded. I didn't know it was the same for you guys." His words were chosen carefully, not wanting to offend the sharp-toothed skeleton. "First child?" Sands froze. It wasn't really out yet that a human was pregnant by a monster, so he decided to lie, not wanting the encounter to turn awkward or unpleasant. "Yeah, on both counts. You?" "Congrats, man. Being a dad is great." The man became much more comfortable. This'll be my third child. I have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old. The man set his basket of ice cream down and eagerly approached Sans, digging a wallet out of his torn jeans. Tons of photos rolled out. My 10-year-old is Emily and my 4-year-old is Jason. He pointed to a picture of smiling children. How did this man have so many pictures? Sans counted 40 individual photos at first glance. Sans wasn't much for this sort of thing, but was polite nonetheless. Get a good wallet with lots of photo slots. Also, don't go back with only what she asked for. The man began to dispense wisdom whether Sans wanted it or not. If monster women are the same as human women, you need to go the extra mile because they're really miserable. Get her a heating blanket or a water bottle. Tell her she's beautiful. Sans shifted uncomfortably. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. They're, 5 months? Almost 6? The man's eyes lit up. Hey, my wife too. Cool beans. I'm from around here, so maybe our kids will get to know each other. The man gently patted Sans on the arm, then immediately sensing his obvious discomfort, backed up. Well, I should get back home. It's late and she'll be getting worried about me. See you around, man. Good luck. He turned to pick up his basket of ice cream and took it to the counter. The cashier looked up from her video game and raised an eyebrow. Seriously, dude, that's like all ice cream. The hell? They looked like they were familiar with each other, the girl giving the man a bonk on the head. Sans immediately tuned out their conversation. He decided to take the man's advice and grab some candy he remembered Frisk really liked, along with 2 boxes of cereal for good measure. Frisk seemed to be devouring it as quickly as he could bring it to the house. Devouring anything and everything, really. The human cashier didn't say much to him, her face bright red and green eyes watching Sans' every movement with awe. He flashed her a teasing grin before taking his change and leaving. He was smart enough to know why she was flustered. Of course, he was irresistible. Nearly 3:30 when he got home, he noticed the light from the bedroom lamp in the upstairs window. Sans felt awful they were still awake waiting for him. Their sleep had been so sporadic. He quickly poured a glass of milk and put the jugs in the fridge, deciding to leave the boxes of cereal and the candy in the shopping bag on the counter. He could deal with that tomorrow. Frisk yawned, having gotten a few minutes of precious sleep, awoken to the sound of Sans opening and closing the front door. They turned their head to Sans opening the door, face lighting up seeing a glass of milk and antacids. Sorry it took so long, he said, setting the glass of milk and the pill bottle on the bedside table. Humans like small talk. It's okay. Thank you for going. Frisk grabbed Sans' bony hand, lacing their fingers through his. I'm sorry I've been so oh my God. Frisk froze, words dropping. In a quick motion, they brought Sans' hand to their bump. Movement. He could feel the strange shifts from inside Frisk. Is that? Sans couldn't articulate, the sheer awe of the situation hitting him like an avalanche. Frisk could only nod, happy tears rolling down their cheeks, overactive emotions getting the better of them. As quickly as the movement happened, they stilled, the twins settling into the new positions they shifted themselves into. Taking his skull in their hands, they pulled him close. He was unprepared and almost lost balance. They pressed a kiss against his teeth, then another and another, hearts swelling in an unbearable amount of affection for him. Frisk's arms wrapped around his neck as he crept to the bed beside them, hovering carefully over them to return the kisses, skeletal fingers threading through their dark hair. A deep, affectionate sigh and smile on their face. I love you so much, Sans. Sans awoke later that afternoon. The 2 of them didn't end up falling asleep until early in the morning. Sockets still closed when he reached out to where Frisk would be, only to find empty, cold sheets. Alarmed, he sat up, taking a quick look around their empty bedroom. Getting up and peeking into the hall, he heard soft sobbing. Panic. mind jumping to awful conclusion after awful conclusion. He checked the bathroom. Nothing there. He headed down the stairs in nearly a full sprint, skidding to an abrupt halt in the kitchen. Frisk sat on the floor, a medium-sized mixing bowl full of cereal clutched in one hand and a serving spoon in the other hand, the look of sheer bliss on their face. You bought me more cereal." They wiped some tears away and ate another spoonful. Sans picked up the box, shaking it once to determine it was nearly empty. All he could do was laugh in relief. 28 weeks. Frisk stood in the doorway of the empty room. Green tape lined the trim around the windows. "Can I help?" they asked as their mother and husband stood in the middle of the room discussing the plans for the nursery. Well, Toriel planned it out and Sans was merely ordered around. Sans still needed to get used to her regal, commanding presence. "Absolutely not, my child." Toriel was the one to answer. "We know not what the paint fumes would do to you." Sans nodded in agreement as he pried a paint can open, a soft buttercup yellow. "Why can't we just use magic and get this done in minutes?" he asked as Toriel handed him a paint tray and a roller. "Skeleton, we are bonding." Her words were kind but voice low and gravelly. Turning back to her child, she beamed. "Perhaps you can make lunch for us. If that is not too much trouble, do not overexert yourself, dear." "I guess you're right. I'll be downstairs if you need me." Frisk wasn't going to get anywhere with the two of them. Hand now on their very large baby bump, they nodded and headed to the kitchen. "Now then." Toriel cleared her throat, watching Sans carefully pour the paint into the trays. "My vision for this is quite clear. Pale yellow walls and white trim. It will match the dark wood of the crib and changing table quite nicely." "Yep." Was it wise to challenge his mother-in-law? Probably not. Was he going to anyway? Of course. "Did you even ask, sweetheart, what they wanted in here?" "Do you think I would not?" Toriel's eyes narrowed as she folded her arms. "We had a discussion while I was organizing to get the furniture made." Rolling his eyes while Toriel's back was turned, he moved his paint tray to the opposite corner. Toriel was an overbearing mother, but meant well. "Okay." A new ache settled itself in Frisk's back. They'd been standing for a while roughly chopping vegetables. Carrots, celery, and potatoes into a large, gently simmering pot filled with water and vegetable broth. Frisk was simply too exhausted from just walking down the stairs to put any more effort into making lunch. Toriel was right. They needed to take it easier. A sharp cramp caused them to double over in pain, head pressed against the cool marble countertop. A simultaneous tug at their uterus and soul. Catching their breath, they decided to slowly stumble over to the sofa, propping some pillows under their back and grabbing a blanket. With slight concern, Frisk flipped through their well-read pregnancy pamphlet. Braxton Hicks. Wonderful. The pain was practice contractions. They couldn't understand the pain in their soul. It was an ache they never wanted to feel again. It seemed that the farther along they got, the more aches they acquired. It felt like they had been pregnant forever. A few more months to go. The twins had suddenly become very active. "You guys need to settle down so Mama can rest," Frisk cooed, one hand rubbing their belly. "Maybe a lullaby? You two can hear me, I think." Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore trees. Dream a little dream of me. Say nighty-night and kiss me. Just hold me tight and tell me you'll miss me. While I'm alone and blue as can be. Dream a little dream of me. The silence in the nursery was deafening. neither monster speaking to one another. A deep sigh. Skeleton. Sans. Sans was sat in the corner painting the trim along the floor. He mumbled, not bothering to look up. After some thought, she paused, very much swallowing her pride. I seem to have been acting unfairly towards you. Hadn't noticed. Sans couldn't resist using light sarcasm. In his opinion, Toriel had brought new meaning to monster-in-law. Toriel rolled her eyes. I know you better than you think I do. She stepped back, her half of the room complete. I just want to help my child. I should trust that you are also trying to help. Sans remained silent, his portion of the wall almost complete. I was furious you didn't tell them, Sans. Toriel's voice started stern but faded into a more compassionate tone. You knew exactly how it is supposed to work. I thought you might run away, which was foolish. Even an old goat like me can be stupid. I was scared. It got easier to say the more he said it aloud. I didn't know he felt that way. Didn't know I felt that way. Are you afraid to die? The somber words hung in the air. Provided the children can even use magic, you are their only source. Typically, there are 2 magical parents to supply magic. It could make your life considerably shorter. I know. Sans let out a heavy sigh. I'm not ready to tell them yet. I will trust you. This cannot be easy for you. Toriel rested a large hand on his shoulder. I am sorry, Sans. I will place more faith in you. You love Frisk, and I know you will love your children. Thanks, Your Majesty. He couldn't deny finally getting a shred of her approval felt good. It appears we are finished with our task. Toriel stretched her arms with a soft smile. Shall we see what your sweetheart has made us for lunch? While in the upstairs hallway, the 2 monsters could hear faint singing. Sans grinned, leaning on the railing overlooking the living room, a flush of red across his cheekbones as Frisk's soft melody filled the house. His sweetheart was so lovely. Toriel sighed softly, closing her eyes, her hands swaying to the tune, humming along. Stars fading, but I linger on, dear, still craving your kiss. I'm longing to linger till dawn, dear, just saying this. Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream of me. 32 weeks. Like this? Sans asked, rolling a warm tendril of red magic over Frisk's aching shoulders. Frisk was sitting in his lap as he sat at the edge of their bed. The sun had long since set and Frisk had trouble getting comfortable enough to sleep. Yes. They hummed at the feeling of pain melting away, being replaced by a pleasurable warmth. I ache all over. Gently guiding his magic down their back, around their hips and in front of their now massive baby bump, Sans had rather bluntly commented on how huge Frisk was now, earning him a cold stare and a knock on the noggin. A curious sound. Do that again. What? He was doing multiple things at once, both his hands directing magic, being ever so careful to not somehow slip up and injure Frisk. He wasn't too terribly used to using non-lethal magic. They moved when your magic went across them. Frisk's eyes went wide. Sans noticed how bright they were, reflecting the red glow of his magic, or perhaps they had a glow of their own. Was that his? Strange. Do it again, they urged, grabbing his hand and setting it on their stomach. Swirling a bundle of magic around his hands, Sans gently caressed Frisk. It was like they had said. The twins would move if he stayed in one spot for a while. It was almost like they were drawn to him. They can hear you, right? Sans asked. Could you tell them I love them? He sighed and nuzzled his head in the space between Frisk's head and shoulder. Your papa loves you very much. Frisk's voice was low. Your mama does too. We can't wait for the two of you to be here. Can you sing to them again? His warm magic dissipating, arms wrapping tightly around Frisk. Frisk smiled, taking a breath to collect their thoughts and remember the lyrics to the rest of the lullaby. Stars fading, but I linger on, dear, still craving your kiss. I'm longing to linger till dawn, dear, just saying this. Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Keep dreaming, leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, make a little promise to me. Unexpected by Kazefiend. Part 5. Toriel softly pulled the brush through Frisk's auburn hair. My child, are you nervous? Frisk had been oddly quiet the entire time the pair had been getting ready. Frisk watched in the mirror as their mother curled locks of their hair and pinned them down. I'm just worried they won't believe me. One must expect a healthy amount of skepticism, my dear. Toriel backed away to observe her work. Frisk's hair was set up with golden buttercup hairpins, curls of auburn hair in an ornate pattern. I assure you the monsters will believe you. My word is that of pure honesty and is always well respected. Frisk sighed. I just don't want any rumors. They rested a hand on their pregnant belly. I think about when they're older. What if they get picked on, or someone tries to tell them Sans isn't their father? It is a little early for those thoughts, no? A soft chuckle. Frisk felt their mother squeeze their shoulder. My darling grandchildren will have some trait from that skeleton, I truly believe that. Toriel softly kissed the top of Frisk's head. Even if it's just bad jokes and his troublemaking tendencies. The doctor says they look human. Frisk's concern was spelled across their face. Also, I've been having the worst agonizing heartburn, so that means they have hair, I think. Ah, yes, a human maid we hired mentioned that when I probed her for information. Toriel smiled and scratched her head. I tried to look on that internet you children seem to enjoy so much, but I spent most of my free time on that Pinterest spiderweb. Website, Frisk corrected while holding back a chuckle. It's not a spiderweb. I am too old for this, Toriel sighed, as she glanced at the large ornate grandfather clock in the corner of the room. My dear, go acquire your husband. It's nearly time. The press should arrive soon. People had taken notice of Frisk's absence. Normally, Frisk acted as a princess and ambassador. They would do the traveling their parents didn't have time for, or mediated important meetings. It wasn't always an easy job, but they were determined to create a lasting peace between both peoples. In the early stages of their pregnancy, Frisk got away with wearing looser clothing, opting for larger coats and more flowing feminine tops. Now, however, Frisk was large, a fact that their aching back would not let them ignore. It began to cause unease through the diplomatic circles when fellow ambassadors from human nations were not greeted by Frisk's easygoing smile, instead greeted by the stoic proud face of King Asgore. The tension came to a head when a visitor flat out asked if anything awful had befallen the princess, leading to excuses and cover-ups. It was just safer this way, too. Too many opportunities for something to happen early on. Frisk was in the clear now. They were only a couple of weeks out. Realistically, they could go to the hospital next week if Frisk felt so inclined. They had even read that labor could begin any moment from this point on. Frisk hadn't decided for sure if they wanted to wait for nature to take its course, or if they wanted modern medicine to assist them. On one hand, being pregnant was absolutely exhausting, and they were ready for it to be over. On the other hand, not much was known about the effect any modern medicine would have on children that were not fully human. A breathy sigh, looking in the mirror more closely. The hairpins were beautiful. The buttercups had become a symbol of perseverance. Frisk would persevere. Things would work out. The family decided to hold something akin to a press conference. Humans and monsters alike were called together in front of Toriel and Asgore's house. Their home, while not as amazing as a palace, was a large estate on land gifted to them. The world had changed so much. There was no longer a small village near Mount Ebott. It was a bustling city. Frisk walked down the large hall of her parents' large abode. As they were about to turn a corner, they heard a conversation. Quickly ducking back around, they listened carefully.
"I don't care if she's pissed at you. I will not allow her to attend."
They immediately recognized the voice of Papyrus. He seemed beyond furious.
"I'm telling you, she has no interest," the other voice shot back.
It was Undyne.
"She was just a little hurt that such a big deal was hidden from her."
It sounded honest. A pang of guilt settled in Frisk's chest.
"Bullshit!"
Frisk winced. The angrier Papyrus got, the higher his volume got.
"Sans told me she showed up at his home. She was sneaking around in the cover of night. Does that idiot scientist think it would be wise to do anything to my niece and nephew while they are still incubating within the human?"
This situation was simultaneously heartwarming and terrifying.
"I will kill whoever does the children harm."
A momentary silence hung in the hall.
"Do I make myself abundantly clear? Your duty to the royal family comes before any personal business."
His devotion to his unborn niece and nephew was intense, perhaps a little too intense. Hopefully, he would mellow out soon. Frisk heard a dejected sigh. "Yes, sir. I understand, sir."
"Undyne, you are dismissed to your post."
The loud stomp of plate boots faded from earshot. Frisk peered around a corner to see if Papyrus had left, only to be greeted by him towering above them. Frisk looked up and blinked a few times, unsure what to say. He always looked mad. It was hard to read if he actually was.
"The children will not be getting any stealth from you, it seems."
His expression was softer than usual. His words almost sounded like a joke. Frisk was amazed. They secretly thought if he lightened up and smiled more, his face would crack. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have eavesdropped." Better to apologize now, Frisk thought. "I was headed to get Sans and didn't want to... Oof." The sudden ferocity of a child kicking made Frisk double over, leaning on the nearby wall for support. The motion was alarming to Papyrus, so woefully unequipped to deal with a heavily pregnant human.
"Are you okay?"
he asked, very real concern in his voice. "Yes." Frisk sucked in a breath. The kick, unfortunately, was followed by a false contraction. They're just misbehaving. An idea sparked in their head. Frisk quickly grabbed Papyrus's gloved hand and placed it on their stomach. You haven't felt them yet, right? Frisk smiled softly, eyes almost glittering. They're still bouncing around. Papyrus was silent, not making eye contact, but Frisk swore they could see a light red blush across his cheekbones. After a few minutes, he slowly took his hand away, eyes darting from Frisk to his hand and back again.
Carry on.
Papyrus's words were slightly fumbled. Before leaving for the courtyard to resume his duties, he pat Frisk on the head. Saying nothing further, he disappeared from sight down the hall. I don't think the big bonehead gets it, 'cause monster babies are a little different. Frisk turned their head to see Sans standing behind them. Shit. He paused, taking in their beautiful glowing face. You always look so irresistible when your ma does your hair. They felt his arms wrap around them. He leaned in such a way that he was able to rest his skull on their shoulder. Nervous? Unfortunately, it seemed everyone was able to pick up on how Frisk felt. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, for sure. A heavy sigh as Frisk rested their head against his. I'm already exhausted from walking. You gonna miss being a human goldfish bowl? Frisk barely noticed Sans sliding his hands under their shirt, resting them on their belly. Papa is here. Settle down for Mama, Sans whispered into Frisk's shoulder, hoping their bones would carry his low voice to his children. Frisk looked down, a soft red glow from beneath their shirt and a comfortable warmth that made them drowsy. Your children are not goldfish, they teasingly pouted. The stirring ceased and the pain subsided. Frisk relaxed their shoulders. Everyone feeling better? Sans asked, removing his hands from under their shirt and buttoning the last few buttons his hands had caused to pop loose. Much better. Frisk turned to plant a kiss on his cheek. Thank you. Anything for my sweetheart and my gremlins. He grinned when Frisk teasingly slapped him. Children, not goldfish or gremlins. They playfully scolded, laughing until a throb from their soul made them frown, clutching their chests tightly. Sweetheart? Immediate concern and fear plagued his face. Yes, it's fine. It faded as quickly as it had come. Let's go, but first I have to pee. Again.
Queen Toriel, do you know how long the princess was pregnant? A blonde human reporter shouted, pens neatly holding her hair bun in place. Princess, why did it take so long to address this?
A dainty white rabbit monster hopped up to see past a tall, lanky human cameraman. Noticing her struggle, he stepped aside to let her closer to the stage. How will the infidelity affect your marriage? Will it affect the throne in any way? A bipedal sphinx crossed his arms as a crocodile took notes. Frisk stood beside their father, his massive hand gently patting their shoulder. Asgore stood tall and proud. He was a kind man despite his outward appearance and past interactions. Sure, sometimes he had trouble showing it. He was very busy after all. It was with small gestures and actions that he showed affection. Frisk could hear their mother talking, but not what she was saying. Everything a hum and a blur. So many humans and monsters. So many news crews. Maybe a doctor or two. They scanned the crowd for familiar faces. Papyrus, Undyne, and the snowed-in canine unit worked to push the encroaching reporters back from the stage. The lithe, deep copper form of Chiana stuck out from the crowd, only because she was waving ecstatically in an attempt to get Frisk's attention. On her shoulders, the small daughter of Dr. Pierce, Cassie. Frisk managed a shy wave, the acknowledgement sending the dog monster into overdrive, tail wagging excitedly. She was joined by the doctor, who simply nodded and smiled when he saw Frisk watching. Frisk glanced at Sans, who stood beside them. He looked stiff and uncomfortable. Reporters didn't seem too interested in what he had to say. Any questions lobbed at him were of divorce and heartache. Frisk laced their fingers through his, giving his hand a reassuring squeeze. "The children are of both human and monster parentage." Frisk tuned back into Toriel's speech. "This is a joyous and unprecedented event, and it is as true as the sun rises." A silence swept over the crowd, hushed whispers, monsters and humans alike in shock. "Your Highness," a brunette softly spoke, "you do realize your claim could change everything we know, and everything your people know." "We're aware." Toriel lowered her head. "Things will be different now. With the possibility of interspecies children, I would like to push forward with more social policies."
"No disrespect," the blonde from earlier chimed in. "But where would those children really belong? If they're not monster and not human, do we really want them double-dipping in society and reaping benefits from both?" Another throb in Frisk's chest. A soft gasp attracted the attention of Asgore, silently looking down at the small human in concern. They waved it off as nothing. Sans, however, was not as easily assuaged, and carefully watched Frisk out the corner of his eye sockets. "Unfortunately," Toriel paused, quelling the irritation in her voice, "that was quite disrespectful. However, I understand it comes out of a place of fear of the unknown." Toriel's ability to keep composure was unmatched by any monster in the underground. "We all have a healthy fear of the unknown, but these are mere children. Do not pass judgment on them, for they have not yet lived their lives or committed any actions." Suddenly so dizzy, the pain in their soul growing stronger. Biting their lip to hold back a cry, hands squeezing Sans so tightly Frisk was concerned they would accidentally turn him to dust. They couldn't make a scene, couldn't show something was wrong. They needed to stay dignified until the conference ended. Just 30 minutes more. A sharp throb in their uterus made them double over slightly. Their body was not going to make this easy on them. Deep breaths. They leaned on Sans for support now, still shaking their head before he even suggested they rest. They didn't need to sit down. They were fine. They had been through worse than this. Sans rolled his eyes at his wife's endearing, stubborn determination. Silently catching Asgore's attention, he motioned to the uncomfortable Frisk and then motioned away. Asgore nodded, moving to tap Toriel, who had taken a pause to hear concerns, on the shoulder and whispered in her ear. "Unfortunately, that is all for today. Frisk needs—" Their mother's words were cut out. The world around them faded to black static for only a second, before they found themselves in their bathroom. Sans instinctively turned them towards the toilet just in time for them to throw up. "Sorry, sweetheart." He patted Frisk's back as they reeled from the nausea of teleportation. "I had to get you out of there." Frisk could only nod and groan in reply, breathing heavily until they could stand again. I'm going to lay down." "I might as well too." Sans reached to remove the hairpins from Frisk's hair. Hair still slightly curled fell to frame their face. "If we need to go to the hospital or something, just wake me up." Frisk nodded, leaving the bathroom to flop unceremoniously onto the bed, sleep claiming them before Sans got into the room. Summer wind blew through the tall grass, sky so clear it seemed to go on forever. Frisk could feel the cool breeze and the warm sun on their skin. They realized they were in a dream. They were at home in their bed after a long day. This was nice, though. Their sleep had been dreamless or restless for a while now.
usually due to discomfort or the need to use the bathroom every hour. Sitting up, they looked at their surroundings, a large clear pond, and what looked like Mount Ebott in the distance. Foxtails and bulrushes lined the shore of the pond. Frisk suddenly found themselves at the shore. They didn't remember walking over. They didn't recognize this location. The town should be here, not a field. Everything felt so empty. The glimmer of a golden buttercup caught their eye from under the water. Reaching, they picked it up. Cleaning the mud from its surface, they noticed two distinct features. The center of the flower was a soft pink, and the back of the flower itself had an engraved letter V. Frisk looked around, seeing the glint of several more buttercups. They decided to follow them along the bank and collect them. 7 in total, each with a beautiful pink center. Vivaldi. Vivaldi, Frisk read aloud, the flowers dissolving into pink dust in their hands. A warm feeling in their chest as they watched the dust get caught by the wind and blow into a nearby tree. Another golden buttercup hung from its branches. These were only slightly different, the center a soft blue. Again, the letter V started them on their quest through the nearby trees, each holding another letter. Another 7 letters. Verdana. Verdana. Like the former, these golden flowers also turned to dust. The dust the same blue as the center. Vivaldi and Verdana. These are names? Frisk wasn't sure who they were speaking to. Perhaps an entity beyond their comprehension had gifted them a dream. It was shamefully true that Frisk and Sans had not put enough thought into naming their children. They were running out of time. They only had a week before Frisk would have to be induced. Labor seemed so close, yet so far. An uncomfortable rush of fluid woke them. First, confusion. Had they embarrassingly wet themselves? They had done so well not to at this point. Then, the realization hit. Frisk's water had broke. The pain they had felt earlier that day were labor pains, or at least the beginnings. Gasping loudly, they shook Sans awake. "We have to go now." A kindly middle-aged nurse had helped Frisk out of their wet clothes and into a hospital gown. It wasn't the most comfortable garment in the world, stiff and starchy. Sans had played with the knots at the back once or twice, playfully exposing a bit of their shoulders and giving them a nibble or two when the nurse wasn't looking. Frisk laid back onto the pillow. Thankfully, they were given a private room. Sans walked around looking at the small bits of equipment, before finally settling on hunting for something to watch on the small TV across the room. "Vivaldi and Verdana," Frisk said, breaking the silence. Sans looked away from the TV for a moment. A blonde woman was making absolutely dreadful-looking food. "Huh?" "It's silly, but I had a dream. Vivaldi for the girl, and Verdana for the boy." Frisk took a moment to crunch on a few ice chips that the nurse had given them. "Vivaldi and Verdana," Sans repeated, seeing how well it sat in his mind. "I think those are okay." "Are they okay or good?" Frisk frowned, slightly irritated at his lack of meaningful input. "This is what they're going to be called forever." "No, I mean okay. I like 'em." Sans rolled himself over to sit beside Frisk in the wheelchair he had borrowed from a closet in the room. He fit rather poorly in it, but found some fun in rolling around. "I'm bad at crap like this, so I'm glad you figured something out, sweetheart." Frisk let out a pained whimper. A simultaneous contraction from their soul and uterus stole the breath from their lungs. "Does it hurt?" Sans asked, reaching for their hand only to be shot an icy glare. "Not at all." Sarcasm dripping on Frisk's words as they endured through another contraction. "Go get me some more ice." Sans nodded, untangling himself from the too small wheelchair. "Be right back." As one would expect, the maternity ward was filled with many women. An awkward feeling hung in the air as Sans wandered the hall. Some were yelling, some were outright screaming, and others had settled on crying. One woman in particular was grumpily pacing the hall, speaking in a language Sans had not heard before. Each word sounded bitter and spiteful. He decided it was best to avoid her path as much as possible. Frisk's rage had seemed a walk in the park compared to what some of these poor humans were enduring. "Hey, skeleton man!" Sans turned as he heard a familiar voice. The man he had met at the convenience store a few months ago smiled back at him. The man was pushing a demure-looking blonde woman holding a newborn baby in a wheelchair. "Hey, I saw the press thing. Wow, that's sure cool." Yeah. Hey, pal." He wasn't too sure what to say. "This your wife?" "Yeah, this is my Katya, and our new daughter, Cynthia." The woman smiled and held the child close to her. "Privyet." Her voice was very sing-songy and light. Sans had absolutely no idea what she had said, however. Never before had he heard such a word spoken. He glanced up at the husband and shrugged. "Oh, sorry, she doesn't speak a whole lot of English." He smiled apologetically. She said hello. "Oh, hey." He gave her the least frightening grin he could. "Listen, I gotta go. My wife hasn't had the kids yet and needs ice or something." "No probs, I understand." The man shrugged. "Hey, good luck. Once Katya can walk, we're going to be discharged. See you around." Like an odd, friendly force of nature, the man disappeared down the hall. Sans decided he had to have some horrifying secret. That man was entirely too cheerful. After wandering around for nearly 25 minutes, Sans finally found a nurse to help him get ice. The hospital staff seemed so overworked and rushed. The nurse helping him looked ready to drop into a deep sleep where she stood. She acquired the biggest paper cup she could find from the busy kitchen and filled it to the brim with tiny shards of ice. A tired smile, and she sent Sans on his way. The chorus of crying in the hall had not ceased. He started to feel great pity for every woman stuck with this seemingly unreasonable pain. Finally, he reached Frisk's room. His quest for ice complete, he entered the room with a soft smile. "Sorry it took me so long, sweetheart." That was odd. Frisk had drawn the curtain around their bed and remained silent. "You okay?" It was like he had lost the ability to speak. Frisk sat there in agonized tears, muffled cries escaping through their gritted teeth, their soul in their hands outside their body. It looked different. Thin threads of white magic being pulled from it, unraveling like a ball of yarn. White magic collecting inside Frisk's body where their children still resided. "Help me," Frisk whimpered as they fought for breath, lip nearly bleeding from being bitten. It took a moment for his eyes to unfreeze. This was more akin to a normal monster pregnancy. He could handle this. It was just a transfer of magic. There was nothing he could really do until the process completed. He was immediately at Frisk's side, hands running through their sweat-drenched hair. "Shh, it's gonna be okay, sweetheart." It... Frisk gasped as the threads pulled once again. "It hurts so bad, please." Words almost unintelligible. Deep breaths. Sans gritted his teeth as they let out another painful scream, and another. He felt so helpless. A nearby nurse had finally decided the amount of screaming was beyond normal levels, and rushed into the room, having much the same reaction as Sans did. "I don't know anything about magic." Her voice panicked, and all her medical training meant nothing. "I'm gonna get the doctor." Sans rolled his eyes, noting how fishy it was that he didn't see a single monster doctor or nurse at this hospital. Not that one could really help Frisk at this moment, but they could help educate and calm people down. The pain's intensity hit its peak. Frisk's face red, chest heaving to catch their breath as the last of the threads disappeared. Flopping over onto their back, Sans helped pull their soul back into their body. All their energy expended, but still crying, at least now only dealing with pain from one source, their hearts still racing from the ordeal. Moments later, a doctor and several nurses ran into the room, checking charts and machines and vitals. Sans heard chatter he didn't really get. Dilated? Were they dilated enough? He noticed Frisk's legs were now up. They had sat back up and gripped his hand as tightly as they could. Everything was silent. Sans couldn't hear or comprehend, everything moving so quickly and slowly at the same time. He was so disoriented. His hand now on his face, his skull hurt. He hurt everywhere, every single bone racked with the worst pain he could imagine. Frisk was yelling. A nurse cheered them on. "It's a boy. You have one more. She's right behind. It's a girl." The shrill cry of his children snapped him out of his daze, numbness washing over him all at once in a few waves. He immediately understood. He started aging. Sans? Are you okay? Frisk asked weakly. Nurses had set the two newborns on Frisk's chest, weak, exhausted arms clutching them to their chest. "Yeah." He removed his face from his hand to stare at Frisk and the newborns, once again rendered speechless until a pair of nurses grabbed them and took them away. "Where are they taking them?" He had become panicked. A third nurse smiled. "Just to the hospital nursery. You can come with me and see them if you want." She reached for his hand. "We need to clean up your wife anyway." The nurse had brought him to a room with a giant window. He had been told he wasn't supposed to be inside right now, but that she would make an exception. She led him to two hospital cribs sat side by side. They looked so human, pale with a few wisps of auburn hair. They already looked so much like his sweetheart. Carefully, he caressed the cheek of his son, his small face scrunched up, one eye opening. A black sclera with a red iris. Sans grinned. His kids would look like him after all. Frisk slept soundly. Someone had put their hair up for them and tucked them in. The moon high in the night sky, shining pale light through their open window. The room had become so stuffy. How wonderful someone thought to let some air in. A breeze brushed across their face. "Rest now. You did perfect." Sans snored from an armchair someone had generously let him borrow. It was the only thing big enough for him to comfortably sleep in the entire hospital. Frisk's eyes sleepily fluttered open. They thought they had heard something, but it was so faint. They yawned and closed their eyes again. Must have been their imagination. They didn't have the energy to worry about it. They needed their rest for the days ahead.
Open up the potions. Pop. It's my mind. Come on, mine it up. Hear a hiss near the door and the night begins. Creeper's done this before, I never let him in. Pack up your inventory, bring you out. Bring some extra food so that you don't starve. No time to forget torches. And you gotta bring a pickaxe. Yeah, you know where we going. Sometimes you forget torches. Welcome to my mine. We are mining diamonds. We are not a strip mine. We don't have to fry mobs. Welcome to my mine. Play that note block nicely. Show me all those emeralds. We don't gotta dodge lava. Welcome to my mine. Welcome to my mine. Morning comes and you know that you want to stay. Throw out dirt. Let's start running those real things. Keep our swords in our hands. Open up potions. Let's fight the mobs. Come on, slash away. Sometimes you forget torches, and you gotta bring a pickaxe. Yeah, you know where we going. Sometimes you forget torches. Welcome to my mine. We are mining diamonds. We don't gotta strip mine. We don't have to fry mobs. Welcome to my mine. Play that note block nicely. Show me all those emeralds. We don't gotta dodge lava. Welcome to my mine. Welcome to my strip mine, the mine, the cave, the crack. But my mine is your mine if you're treating it right. Sorry if my mine don't have the gold. As soon as I dig down, we'll find more of that. Oh my goodness, what is that? It's lo brillante, guapo, so we're gonna mine that. I think I know what that is. OMG, it's diamonds! My mine, we'll mine diamonds. We don't gotta strip mine. We don't gotta ride mobs. Welcome to my mine. Play that note block nicely. Show me all those emeralds. We don't gotta dodge lava. Welcome to my mine. Welcome to my mine. Welcome to my mine. Ha! Yeah!
Go into the mine and get my pick out. I'm ready to break it. I look all around, oh where could it be? Should I go further? There is a block shining over there. Time to go mine it. After it breaks, it's time to smelt it. Let's go to the furnace and place it in. Wait a few seconds till it's done burning. I will take it out and look at how beautiful it is. Then get ready to make some amazing armor. I'm gonna go mine some gold. Make a crown so I look bold. Gonna go mine some gold. I'ma go mine it every day. Mine that gold. Mining it every day, mine that gold. Make a cool sword to slay, mine that gold. Gonna use it every day. I'm gonna go mine that gold. Back down to the mine to find some more gold, so I can make some more stuff, like golden apples to help me heal, so that I can act tough. I've got my full armor and all my tools. Why do they break easy? I'm left with nothing, the mobs will come kill me. Let's go to the caves where it all began and search for some shiny golden ores. I will take my pick out and mine away till the sun's gone down and my pick is about to break. I'm gonna go mine some gold, make a crown so I look bold. Gonna go mine some gold, I'ma go mine it every day, mine that gold. Mining it every day, mine that gold. Make a cool sword to slay, mine that gold. Gonna use it every day, I'm gonna go mine that gold.
I play Minecraft, Minecraft is my favorite game. I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft every day. Minecraft, 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 best game ever I have to say. If you don't play Minecraft, then you're probably gay. Minecraft is so cool, Minecraft is so fun, Minecraft is the best, that's why it's number one. I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft, Minecraft is my favorite game. I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft every day. Minecraft, 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 I play Minecraft all the time. People say I'm retarded because I play Minecraft. Yes, I am retarded, but it has nothing to do with Minecraft. I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft, Minecraft is my favorite game. I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft every day. Minecraft, 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 best game ever created. Minecraft, 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 it's really fun. I love Minecraft. You can place blocks, and you can break blocks. You can do it all in the Minecraft, 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 Minecraft. I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft, Minecraft is my favorite game. I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft, I play Minecraft every day.
Minecraft is bad. How can you think Minecraft is a good game when Roblox is just the exact same? Except it's better and it gets you wetter. I'm gonna put your stupid knots to shame. While you run around and collect digital blocks, girls will flock to me and suck on my cock. You are autistic, and I'm no critic, but you can't have fun all day just punching rocks.